I would like to give his introduction. Dr. Vikrant Singh Tomar is a young acknowledged trainer, academician, scholar, writer, and a management consultant. He is an internationally certified NLP practitioner and has worked as a national training resource of INC ICFAI Hyderabad. He is a qualified trainee member and a National Merit Award holder in Electronic Enabled Training of the prestigious Indian Society of Training and Development, New Delhi. It is recognized by Ministry of HRD, Government of India. Sir is also the founder of UMS India, Project Self, Akshara Kids Academy, and Global Institute of United Consciousness. Sir is also the recipient of Best Speaker Award in 2nd and 3rd International Yoga Seminar. Thank you so much, Vikrantji, for joining us. It is a pleasure to have you with us today. I would like to hand over the stage. I would like to hand over to you. Please enlighten us with your words.
Thank you, Hargun. And I congratulate Sthapna for arranging such a beautiful course on such an important personality for India, or rather than whole world, Adi Shankaracharya. Sadashiv Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmat Acharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Adi Shankaracharya takes birth on this land of India at a very vital time. 8th century AD in India, politically we had feudalism in the country. There was not a single strong empire rule the whole country. Socially, there was lots of inequality in the country. Religion was full of orthodoxies. In economy, long-distance trade was broken, and major stress and problem was there in agriculture. Farmers was badly exploited. Overall, it was a time of decline in trade, in economy, even in society. During those dark times, Adi Shankaracharya appears as a bright flame of knowledge and wisdom. It has always been there in India. India is ever ancient but never old. Every time there is a decline in virtue, a master comes in India to revive the civilization, to re-energize. And this time, 788 AD, in the village called Karli in Kerala, Adi Shankaracharya is born. I am told that majority of the audience here, they are youth. So I will request all the youth to listen this, thinking about the people whom they read or known in their lifetime so far. Think of all the people whomsoever you knew, and now listen about the journey of Adi Shankaracharya, a master who revived Indian civilizations once again. So I'm going to tell you 7 things which as a youth we can learn from Adi Shankaracharya. First thing, and while listening to this, I request you to listen and to think about all the people, as I told you, whom you know, and compare his lifetimes with all those people. Then you will understand the grandurance of Adi Guru Shankaracharya. First lesson, know your purpose of life. There are only 2 things we need to do in life. 1, find a purpose of life. 2, lose yourself in that purpose of life. So Adi Shankaracharya, just at the age of 5 years, started expressing his interest to take sannyasa for self-realization. He knew his purpose of life at such an early age. Do you know anybody who knows the purpose of life at the age of 5 years? At the age of 8 years, he took sannyasa and left his home for the search of Guru. The king of Kerala, Rajarajeshwara, requested him to be a poet in his court, but he refused. We need to learn to say no to many very good ideas so that we can focus on one great idea. So he refused all these positions, and he started traveling. He traveled more than 1,000 kilometers just to search a guru, which he found at the banks of river Narmada, Guru Govind Bhagavad Pad. At the age of 12 years, he got his guru, and his spiritual journey took another leap. So, first lesson that we need to learn from Adi Shankaracharya is know your purpose of life, find it, and lose yourself in that. Second lesson, learn very fast. Once you know your purpose of life, walk very fast towards it. No lethargy. Mediocrity is a crime. We are born winners, and we need to give our level best to reach towards our objectives of life. At the age of 2 years, he learned Sanskrit. 2 years age. At the age of 3 years, he learned Malayali. At the age of 5 years, he had his Upanayan Sanskara. And at the age of 7 years, in Gurukulam, he learned all Vedas and Vedanta. 7 years. Ved and Vedanga he also learned. He was so quick in learning. No scope of lethargy at all. Do it right now. Ask yourself, do you know anybody who is that fast learner as Adi Shankaracharya? And what is the definition of learning? Learning is a relatively permanent change in the behavior that comes out of an experience. It's not only that you remember something, it's not learning when it reflects in the behavior. A person reached to Swami Chinmayananda, who always considered Adi Shankaracharya as one of the greatest saints of Indian platforms. So when he said that Swamiji, there are many problems in life, Swami Chinmayananda said, no worries. Read Bhagavad Gita and all your problems will be solved. That person read Gita not once but 10 times, but nothing changed. That person reached to Swami Chinmayananda once again and said, Swamiji, following you, I have gone through Gita in 10 times in my life, but nothing has changed. Swami Chinmayananda looked into his eyes and replied, dear son, it doesn't matter how many times you go through Gita in life. What matters is whether Gita has gone through your life even once. If Gita will go through your life even once, you never have to read it again. And this has happened with Adi Guru Shankaracharya. Whatever he read brought a change in his behavior. So now the third lesson you can learn from him. Contribute rather than criticize. His behavior changed. There are many people in India and all parts of the world you'll find, they love so much to criticize things. This is not happening good. Those are bad. This is bad in our world. But there are few people who love to contribute rather than speaking the language of criticism. Adi Shankaracharya was one of those. The learning brought change in his behavior, and at the age of 9 years, he wrote Vishnu Sahasranam, a tika on that. At the age of 16 years, he did tika, commentary on Gita, Brahma Sutram, Upanishads, and he called it Prasthanatraya. Prasthanatraya means if you really want to go to the higher levels of understanding, realize yourself, then these threes are must. Till age of 16, he has already written commentaries on Yoga Sutra, Lalita Trishati, Nirvana Shatakam he created, Bhaj Govindam he created, many Vivarana Granth he created, Prakaran Granth he created, and lots of wisdom on Advaita Vedanta. Age 16 years. Just imagine that. Now the fourth lesson that you can learn from his life is progressive mindset. He was born in the times when India was really going down in virtue. Society has many problems, orthodoxies, but he loudly condemned all the karma kandas. He said, in order to go to the higher levels of understanding and self-realization, you need to have right spiritual jnanam. Jnanam is the path towards liberation. This was the subject matter of his debate with Mandal Mishra. Mandal Mishra was a great Karmakandi. His stance was that Karmakanda help us to elevate and liberate from the problems of life. But Adi Shankaracharya defeated him, and he established that rather than these rituals, without doing rituals without understanding, what is most important is right understanding. He took sannyasa at an early age, but still when he came back, when his mother was seriously ill, he did funerals of her mother, which is condemned in the sannyasa tradition. So look, he went against of the sannyasa tradition and did funeral of his mother because he understood that every responsibility of life is very important. So he was a game changer. Lesson number 5 you can learn from him. Guts to admit mistakes. Look, we fall down many times. We are not good enough, but it takes guts to say, yes, I was not good enough. I will improve. He was in Kashi, Adi Shankaracharya. Untouchable of those times. There were so many orthodoxies in India. So many problems Indian society had. One of those was untouchability. A Chandala untouchable crossed his path. And in the reflexes, Adi Shankaracharya said, Gach, gach, move away, move away. And suddenly, as if the Chandala himself spoke, and Chandala replied to Adi Shankaracharya saying this, whom do you think you are telling to get removed from the path? If you are talking about this body, then this body is made of blood and flesh, just like your body, out of those 5 elements. So both of our body is made up of 5 elements. It's the same. But if you're talking about that Atma that resides in the body, then it cannot move. It is Achala. Where it will it move? Adi Shankaracharya realized his mistake. He realized probably the Vedantic learning has still not purified him enough. He bowed down to that Chandala and took him as his guru. Can you imagine? 8th century AD India, and such an elevated level of understanding of a person. He took Chandala as a guru and he created Manish Panchakam in the respect of that guru. This was the level of elevation Adi Shankaracharya had. During Mandal Mishra and Adi Shankaracharya debate, Mandal Mishra's wife said, you are debating on Karmakanda with him, whether a household life is better or a life of a sannyasin is better. But you have never experienced a household life. So something which you don't know, how can you debate on that? Adi Shankaracharya admitted his mistake. He said, madam, you are right. He left that debate then and there. There was a king who was about to die. His spirit went into the body of the king, and he had a long period in that body, staying as a household, experience the pleasures of life, having all the bhogas, but still he realized that all bhogas are useless. And then he again came back and then continued the debate. Ability to admit mistake, have those guts. Only those people who can do it are those people who have great self-confidence and like Adi Shankaracharya. Lesson number 6. Love your mother and motherland at any cost. When I say mother, it means your nation. When I said mother, it means your parents. And when I say motherland, it means your nation. Love your mother and motherland. Adi Shankaracharya, in spite of all his wishes, never took sannyas without formal permission of mother. Can you imagine this? A person who is incarnated for it, but still he wanted mother's permission. Are we like this? His mother used to travel long to take bath in river. Because mother was ill, she was not well. He brought a stream of river near to the house just to facilitate and comfort the mother. And he promised that even in spite of sannyasa, he will come back when mother will be ill. He came back to support his mother. This is his respect towards the mother. And about motherland, he traveled 3 times whole India. Can you imagine? From Kanyakumari to Srinagar, it is 3,600 kilometers today. He traveled India 3 times. North, south, east, west. More than 10,000 kilometers he traveled in his small lifetime. Can you imagine this? 8th century AD, he walked across the country. He loved this country. He knew this nation. So love your nation, mother and motherland. Lesson number 7, have a vision. Whatever you are doing, a person without eye is fine, but a person without a vision is a disaster. We need to have a vision. In Sanskrit, you may, or in Hindi, you may not have drashti, but you must have drashtikon, a vision of life. See, his vision was very clear: national integration and spiritual revival of this mighty country. And for national integration and spiritual revival, he did both of them together. He established 4 mathas: Badrinath in north, Shrangeri in south, in east Puri, and in west Dwarika. And such a visionary person he was that he put a priest, a South Indian priest in North Indian temple and a North Indian priest in South Indian temple for national integration. No north-south divide. We are one as a nation. And why he thought of temple? Many of the researchers have already gone into it, friends. A temple is just like a concept of nuclear plant approach in economics. When you establish a temple somewhere, economy prospers. It becomes a big tourist spot. You Google it, which is the biggest tourist spot in Odisha. The first picture will come as Jagannath Puri's temple. When tourists come, revenue comes, marketplace gets developed. Automatically, the standard of living of the people will increase. Economic impact of the temple. Social impact of the temple. If there is a temple somewhere in any place, people will be high in morality, at least in those places. There will be God-fearing. There will be less crime in those places. And temples act as to preserve the culture. Third, temples also becomes a cultural hub. All Indian dance forms, whether it is Bharatanatyam, Kuchipudi, Mohiniyattam, they all are developed as a worship to the Lord. In the temples temples conceived these dances. They incubated. All music forms of India were developed in the temples for the Lord. All art forms, all craft forms, Pichwai painting, these paintings and arts are developed in the respect of Lord. So temple becomes a big cultural hub also. And not only that, even politically. King used to take care of temple, and temple used to reinforce the authority of the king and declare king as the righteous king. So it is always like temple has a social, economical, political, cultural impact in the society. And not only national integration, whole universe integration. He talked about Advaita Vedanta. We all are one. When I see me in you, you in me, and us in all, that is called Advaita. Such a visionary person has walked on this planet. Now, last, I will just give you a glimpse about the teaching of Adi Shankaracharya. One of his masterpieces is his commentary on Bhagavad Gita. I am telling you only first 2-3 lines of his commentary, you will understand the depth of this intelligence. Never forget this. This commentary was done at 804 AD around. While you are listening to this, remember that. 8th century or 9th century, beginning of the 9th century, 8th century AD. First line goes in that commentary. Narayana paro avekta andam avekta sambhavam andasyat astitva me lokha sapta deepacha medini. Narayana, that absolute reality. Paro Avyakta, which is beyond this undifferentiated universe. That absolute reality is beyond undifferentiated universe. Andam Vyakta Sambhavam, from that cosmic egg, which came from undifferentiated universe. Andasyat Astitva Me Loka, from that came this differentiated world. Saptadipacha Medini, and in that differentiated world, there is a planet called Earth, Medini, Earth, which has 7 continents. 7 continents, he mentioned. He never traveled outside Indian continent, and he's saying a 7th continent in the world. 1913, Pierre de Coubertin, the father of modern Olympics, makes 7 rings in Olympics symbol because he thought there are only 7 continents in the world. 1913. In 1950s, world started talking that there are 7 continents. North and South America was taken as 2 continents, and Antarctica was also added as a continent. 1950, I am talking about, and 804 AD, one person writes, Saptadipacha Medini. Can you imagine this? Can you imagine this? And then he says that from that absolute reality comes the undifferentiated universe. Let me quote Neil Bohr, who is the father of quantum physics. He says there is a singularity. There is a singularity, undifferentiated. You can't differentiate. This is one. Neil Bohr called it singularity. Nikola Tesla says all perceptual matter, means the differentiated word, comes from a primary substance which is beyond conception. Avyakta, you can't conceive it even. The same word Adi Shankaracharya used. And that's why Neil Bohr used to say, when people get confused, they come to me, but when I get confused, I go to Upanishads. Adi Shankaracharya, only 2 lines, complete quantum physics essence he gave, along with that geography he told. And one more line I will quote. The second line, this is the first line. One line, whole quantum physics, geography. Go ahead. Evolution he mentioned in one line. Second line, Sa Bhagwan Srastreva idam jagat tasya cha sthiti chikurshu. Sa Bhagwan, that God. Who? Narayana. Who Narayan? Who is beyond the undifferentiated universe. It means not a person with beard sitting somewhere in heaven and creating the world. No. He said that God, which I mentioned, which is beyond this differentiated and differentiated universe. He, that universal consciousness, Sastreva idam jagat, created this world. Tasya cha sthiti chikurshu. But then we need to sustain the world. Imagine, in 20th century, United Nations comes up with sustainable development. Sustainability has become a new buzzword. He said, Tasya cha sthiti chikurshu. He said for every invention, it has to be sustainable. He said just to sustain the world, there is a natural order, he said. What is that order? Further, he says in that line, Pravati Lakshanam Dharma Grahamas Vedoktam. First is Pravati Lakshanam. Pra means outward. Vrati means dynamism. Outward dynamism is needed. Means happy, healthy, and prosperous relationship with this outer world. Pravati Lakshanam. Dharma Grahamas Vedoktam. And how to do this Pravati, how to be dynamic outside? Lesson is, be dharma dhar, act on the basis of dharma. Whatever you are doing, be righteous in what you do. This is Pravati Lakshana. But only that Pravati will not sustain. Look his vision. He said, no, only Pravati cannot sustain. He said, Nivrati Lakshanam, Dharma Jnana Vairagya Grahamans. Another is Nivrati. Along with Pravati, dynamic outside, you need to be Nivrati Lakshanam, peaceful internally. Happy, healthy, and peaceful relation with self also is needed. And that is what he Nivrati Lakshanam. Any society which will never have Nivrati will go in dooms. And you see our society is happening in dooms because too much Pravati. Don't you think that he's also mentioning the principles of physics, centripetal and centrifugal force, a force that wants to take away nivrati and a force which want to take in pravati lakshanam to balance, then only this universe is sustained. Without centripetal and centrifugal force, electrons will collapse into the nucleus and whole universe will be in ashes. He said both are must. And people who think that Adi Shankaracharya only taught that leave everything, no, he said leave all the attachments and still you can realize yourself. He said, Dvividohi Vedok Dharma. These two both are Vedokta Dharma. Pravati Lakshano, Nivrati Lakshanam Cha. Both are needed. Jagat Sthiti Karanam, he said, they are must. Don't you think he's talking about work-life balancing? He's talking about having a balance in life. And he said, and for that, but people will forget this in due course of time. He writes in this, in first paragraph only. And for that, Bhagwan Krishna comes, Narayana himself takes a form and comes and gives Bhagavad Gita to all of us. And then he says, I'm quoting him, in Bhagavad Gita, the purpose of Bhagavad Gita, I have never read anybody who beautifully, more than this, present Praninam Sakshat Abhyuday Nishreyasa. The two purpose of Gita, Praninam Abhyuday. Together rise, social, economical, and political rise of everybody. Kam, Dharma, and Moksha, Kam, Dharma, and Artha. Karma Marga, that is what we call Pravatti. Sakshat Abhyuday, for everybody. Social, economical, political Abhyuday. And second, Praninam Sakshat Abhyuday, Nishreyasa, and spiritual freedom. Moksha, the fourth Purusharth. So he mentioned both. Karma Marga and Gyan Marga both are must. And everything he did in 32 years, he died at the age of 32 years. So a line comes to me when I think of him. वो मस्ती में, वो महफिल में, वो अंजुमने इरफानी में सब जाम पकड़ बैठे ही रहे, हम पी भी गए, छलका भी गए. So life, a moment of glory is better than a lifetime of ordinary living. And Swami Adi Shankaracharya died at the age of 32 years by doing all those things. He enlightened quantum physics, geography. He enlightened whole nation. He unified whole nation. So dear friends, let's learn from that great people, great person who walked on this planet. Know your purpose of life. Learn fast, walk fast always towards it. Contribute rather than criticize. Have progressive mindset. Have guts to admit your mistake. Love your mother and motherland. Have a vision. These are the messages of Adi Shankaracharya, and realize yourself. Thank you very much. All the good wishes for your program. Thank you.